All right, here is episode 6 of this shit. My name's Frankie Caputo. This is the Skeptical Hippo podcast. Shout out to my listeners, all two of you, George and Brian, Ty. Shout out. All right, so I'm gonna do this one solo today. Not have anybody on here, which is gonna be fucking rough. I apologize to anybody who intends on listening to this in advance. I can't imagine making this, getting past just a few minutes here. Trust me, it's just as bad for me as it is for you guys. So, right, apologies. Okay, so I performed stand up for the first time yesterday, and that was an experience. I guess I'll just kind of go through what that was like, and then I took some notes about my experience and I journaled about it briefly. So yeah, I'll talk about the notes and talk about how that went. And also, the video of the stand up is available on my YouTube channel already. So it should be the video posted directly before this one. So it shouldn't be too hard to find. The title on that video is actually like something about me bombing, which actually is not the case. I don't think that I actually bombed. I actually think that I did a pretty decent job. There's only like a few people in attendance though, it was just there was probably like you could count the people that were in that room on a single hand, including me. No, I'm kidding. Maybe two hands, but yeah. I think that it would have done better if there were more people there. I think that you would have heard more laughs, but I think that's okay. I think that the night went exactly how I would have liked for it to. There were a couple bits that didn't work out very well. I got laughs for most of the punchlines there. There was one whole bit that didn't go well at all, and then I had there's one bit where my phone was supposed to ring, and with it was a callback to a previous joke, and that completely fell through. It wasn't executed well, but I'll make sure. Oh, I heard a knocking out there. Fuck that. I'll make sure that joke is executed better next time. So yeah, just a learning experience in terms of that. But yeah, I had been writing for a minute now, probably like a couple of months, and I've been writing seriously for probably like the last few weeks. And within the last week and a half, I've been writing every day for an hour and a half in the morning, getting ready for this. And I think that it paid off. I think that and also, by the way, like most of my set completely changed the day of. Like my set 3 days prior to the actual performance was drastically different than what it ended up being the day of the performance. So that's something to keep into mind. Um, I would I would perform my set over and over again into a microphone on my phone and listen back to it, and I just found countless things that I wasn't thrilled about, and then I just changed it over and over and over again. And eventually, I performed my set so many times to myself that I absolutely hated it, and I couldn't find anything funny in it anymore. And then I just hated it, you know. Um, and then I kind of had to remind myself yesterday that every single joke that was written for my set, I had once found hilarious. You know, like there was nothing in my set that I didn't find funny. Like all of it was funny to me at one point, and what wore out on the funniness of it was me repeating it over and over and over again. And I kind of just had to remind myself, like, hey, this shit is actually pretty funny. It's really not bad, and execution is going to be key when it comes to performing it and getting laughs. And I think a big thing that helped in terms of the performance was me doing the set over and over again into the microphone on my phone. I think that helped a lot, and being able to listen back to it, even though it was cringy as fuck. Like it was not easy to do it. Trust me, it's a lot easier to listen back to the set when there's when I watched back to the video of me performing and there was one dude laughing the whole time. Shout out to Kevin. Like that shit kept me going. Um, yeah, the majority of people in the room actually laughed at most of my shit. Like I said, there was like a good minute and a half though, which didn't turn, which I think I didn't get a laugh for like a whole fucking minute. And thankfully, like the cameras whoever was recording it, their camera turned off or whatever. Halia, it's your fault. But it's a good thing that the camera turned off at that point. And then we had to get another camera recording, but we missed a good chunk of the bit that I was bombing. But yeah, that's fine. So for the last 2 days or so, I've been getting like writer's block or whatever the fuck that's called. Like I couldn't think of anything, and my mind was very foggy and hazy whenever it came time for me to write, and I was getting very insecure in my jokes, and it was just not a fun time at all for the last 48 hours, and it all paid off last night. I think that it turned out pretty well. Um, yeah, so there were a couple bits in my set that actually got laughs that I was surprised about because they weren't necessarily like the punchline. Like they weren't supposed to be the funniest bit. I'm getting a phone call. Who's calling me, man? Let me answer it. It's Jake. What's up, Jake? You're on my podcast.
What's up?
You're on the podcast, bro.
Oh, for real? What's up?
What's up?
I was just gonna. Is it a bad time?
I could have you come onto the podcast if you want, but I'm in the middle of recording right now.
Okay. I'll call you. They're all right.
Yeah, I'll call you when I'm done. I got like another
All right.
15 minutes.
I was gonna ask about the comedy.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about right now on the podcast. I'll call you in like
Oh,
15
shit.
minutes and
All
we'll
right. All
uh
right.
we'll talk.
All right. Later.
All right. All right, that was Jake. He'll be on the show eventually. I'm sure everybody listening already knows who that kid is. So, yeah, okay. Like I was saying, there were a couple bits that I got laughs at that I wasn't necessarily expecting to get laughs on, and I took notes on it this morning, and I'm gonna go into them real quick. All right. So the first thing that I got laughs on that I wasn't expecting was just me putting myself in an absurd scenario and then actually depicting it in a way that the crowd was able to process. And for example, there was I have one bit in there where I know somebody who's so stupid that he got so high off mushrooms one day that he went to the Burger King by his house and he thought that the guy working there was his doctor. And that wasn't the punchline. That was like just a total setup, and that was a setup especially for a callback that I had later on in the set. And I wasn't really planning on getting laughs there, but I guess that the scenario was just so absurd that it caught people off guard and they laughed at it, which was very nice because that the joke that I was actually using that in didn't land very well. So funny enough, the setups for that joke actually hit harder than the end, which was nice. But of course, I did, like I said, I did call that joke up at the very end of my set. At the very end of my set, I had a reference back to that, and obviously you could just watch that on YouTube. But I referred back to it, and that landed. Of course, there were only a couple people in the room, but it landed with everybody who was in the room. Thank God. So yeah, absurd scenarios. That's one of them. I have another scenario about me thinking that I broke my penis. And like I said, that wasn't even the punchline. It's just me saying that I thought that it was broken was hilarious to some people, and they popped at it. And yeah, not the punchline, but just again being in a ridiculous scenario and just saying something so absurd that it catches people off guard. Um, just just popped people, which was dope. I wasn't really expecting that. And one last thing that kind of caught me off guard was at the end of my first punchline, I was starting off with my second joke, and the first line of the second joke was, "I think that stupid people have stupid ringtones." And once again, this was not a punchline. This was just the setup to my next joke, but this hit harder than the actual punchline, which I had never been too confident in that punchline either. Like I know that joke has so much potential, but I don't think that I dedicated enough thought to following through to my best abilities with that joke. So I'm going to be working on that, and I'm gonna be performing pretty much my whole set all over again, except for one joke in there. The one there's like a good minute in there that didn't land at all. So I'm gonna be removing that and replacing that with some other shit that I have. I have so much shit that I just have to work on expanding on, and I'm looking forward to it. Next time I perform, it's actually gonna be at a comedy club, and maybe there will be more than 5 people over there, and I'd be very much looking forward to that. Even though last night was a great experience, though, I really had a good time. Shout out to Kevin for acknowledging my callbacks. That was dope. I'm happy that those didn't go unrecognized. But okay, so I had some actual punchlines that landed, believe it or not, which was nice. I think that the joke that landed the hardest was the whole back end of my set. So the whole like 2 minutes or less broken dick joke. So for the last minute and a half of my set, I'd say I think that joke from beginning to end went really well, and especially to top that joke off with a callback to Burger King. I think that was executed pretty well. I think of my whole set that last minute and a half was the best executed. So I'm really happy with how that turned out. And then unfortunately, like the very last bit where I was supposed to get that phone call, like I said, it didn't work out as planned, and it's just a learning experience. I'll figure out how to execute on that better next time. But yeah, I certainly do plan on performing again, and I had a really good time. And yeah, um, what else do I have here? I was nervous as fuck, dude. I felt like I was gonna shit myself all day. It was terrifying. Just just the second I woke up to the second that I was finally on stage, like all day I had stomach pains and it was difficult to eat and I felt like I was gonna throw up pretty much the whole day, and just a complete mess. But I think that the second we got, dude, especially like when we pulled up to the club, or it was actually it was a restaurant slash bar, but when we pulled up, dude, like fuck, like I don't wish to revisit that feeling again, but it felt very nice once it was finished. I felt accomplished and I felt like I did my shit. But it just goes back to getting out of your comfort zone. I think that it's extremely important to get out of your comfort zone on a routinely basis. And I think that yesterday was a pretty good one for me. I was thinking to myself, like, yesterday I couldn't remember the last time that I got so far out of my comfort zone. It was really like a physically painful experience all day, but like I said, I'm happy that I did it. Um, yeah, so I got to the club. The first guy, when we got there, first of all, only 3 comics performed. There was one guy, there was me, and there was the headliner. And when I got there, nobody was performing. And then, the first guy went up, and he went up there for like a good 20, 25 minutes, maybe longer, like maybe 25, 30 minutes. He was up there for a fat minute. And I only had like 5 minutes prepared. I could have done more. I could have done more time, but I skimmed my set down to 5 minutes because I just assumed that anywhere that I went was gonna do like a 5 minute time limit for open mics, which I was very wrong about for this specific place. I'm happy that I only did 5 minutes though. I think that it was a perfect start time for me, and really like a minute and a half of that was kind of garbage. Well, dude, I don't think like the joke was fucking. I don't think that the joke was garbage, but it didn't. The joke, it's one of those jokes that works better in person, and then when you say it on stage or when you're performing it, it just doesn't land. But yeah, that's fine. Pretty much everything else landed. Anyway, yeah, the guy went up there for like 25 minutes, and then the whole time I was like, shit, like eventually he's gonna stop. And then there's nobody else in here. Like I'm gonna have to go up there. Not like there was a line or anything, which was a little humorous to me that there was only like 3 people in there, but yet I had to wait like 30 minutes to go up just because the first dude was up there for so long. But yeah, shout out to him. Like that was fun. And then the guy who went on after me, it was pretty fun too. I think he was also there for another 25, 30 minutes. So you had like a 25-minute set. You had me for 5 minutes, and you had another 25-minute set after that. But oh well. Yeah, I don't really have. I don't think I have too much more to say about this right now. I'm gonna stop the recording here and get on with my life. So yeah, episode 6, Skeptical Hippo podcast. I will today's Wednesday the 18th. Wednesday, May 18th, 2022. Yeah, so I will be back here tomorrow on Thursday, May 19th. All right.